The war in Ukraine might not be over anytime soon. America's spy chief, Avril Haines, has offered a grim outlook on the possible trajectory of Vladimir Putin's invasion. She says the conflict could escalate even further and become even more unpredictable. And predicting Putin has never been easy. But Haines believes the Russian president has war aims extending far beyond the eastern Donbass region, and that he still has his sights set on regime change. In order to achieve these aims, Mr. Putin would have to resort to more extreme measures, taking charge of industrial output, ordering full military mobilization inside Russia, and employing even more brutality on the battlefield. Here's Avril Haines, the Director of National Intelligence.
We assess President Putin is preparing for a prolonged conflict in Ukraine, during which he still intends to achieve goals beyond the Donbass. We assess that Putin's strategic goals have probably not changed, suggesting he regards the decision in late March to refocus Russian forces on the Donbass as only a temporary shift to regain the initiative after the Russian military's failure to capture Kyiv.
And while it was because of concerns over the future course of the war in Ukraine that British Prime Minister Boris Johnson traveled to Sweden and Finland today. There, he signed agreements to come to their defense in the event of an attack. The possible aggressor was not named, but the agreements were clearly aimed at deterring Russian President Vladimir Putin from aggressive action.
We are taking another step to strengthening our bilateral defense and security cooperation at the strategic level. And I'm very happy that you have come here today for the signing of our bilateral political declaration of solidarity.
The war in Ukraine is forcing us all to make difficult decisions. But sovereign nations must be free to make those decisions without fear or influence or threat of retaliation.
And if either country should suffer a disaster or an attack, the United Kingdom and Sweden will assist each other in a variety of ways.
It's worth emphasizing that if Sweden were attacked and looked to us for help and support, then we would provide it.
My first guest is Alexander Kara, a Ukrainian diplomat, foreign policy and security expert, who was also an advisor to the Minister of Defense in Ukraine. He joins me tonight from Kyiv. A very warm welcome to the day, sir. We just saw Good to have you with us. We just saw there Sweden and the UK signing a mutual defense pact. Finland agreed a similar defense deal. Both of these two nations may now be fast-tracked into NATO. Do you think Ukraine's bid to join the alliance will happen anytime soon?
Well, certainly it's not going to happen soon, but I am optimistic about the possibility of Ukraine to join in NATO. And actually, should Finland and Sweden join NATO, and there would be no, let's say, harsh reaction from Moscow, it would destroy the whole propaganda narrative of Russia that they are fearful of the NATO advancement towards their borders as a primary reason why they are fighting against Ukraine. So I believe it's a wise decision for Finland and Sweden to be protected under the umbrella of NATO. And certainly we wanted to have such an umbrella back in 2008. Unfortunately, for the position of Germany and France, we were blocked. And we now in dire straits. Firstly, Georgia in 2008, when Russia unleashed its force against this republic. And then since 2014, Ukraine. So certainly I would love to see Ukraine within NATO. And I believe we will seize this opportunity in future.
Sir, even without full NATO membership, your country has the next best thing, arguably, military and financial backing from your Western allies. Could Kyiv potentially accept some sort of strategic neutrality, aligned with them, but forever outside the defense pact, if that is what Moscow wants to end this bloody war?
Well, I believe that the contribution of Estonia, 1/3 of its defense budget to Ukrainian defense, proves that those countries of the Baltics, Poland, Romania, and some others were wise enough to join NATO, because it protected them from the same fate that we are facing with Russia. So that's why I see no reason for Ukraine to give up on our NATO membership aspiration, because we don't have any other possibility to preserve our sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence. Russia attacked us when we were a non-bloc country back in 2014, and it shifted the public opinion towards NATO membership decisively, from something like 45% to 60 and 80 later on. So I see no other possibility of Ukraine to secure its future, or either with NATO or with special partnership with the United States and some other countries that could provide us the guarantees no less than Article 5.
Now, sir, you're a diplomat, and there has been some decidedly undiplomatic language between Berlin and Kyiv in recent weeks. And some of it was born out of Germany's past policies to forge closer ties with Russia. Our Washington bureau chief, Ines Pohl, spoke to Christoph Heusgen, who was the foreign policy advisor to Chancellor Angela Merkel. I want to play a clip for you to listen to and then get your reaction, if I may.
Basically, I think the idea that we had since the end of the Second World War, after, in the name of Germany, 27 million Soviets were killed, I think for us to try and get into a better relationship with Russia, to build bridges, I think was the right policy. We just have to realize that Russia today is ready to destroy all these bridges that we have been trying to build.
Mr. Kara, the Christian Heusgen, rather, they're defending Germany's policy of change through trade. Is he defending the indefensible, in your opinion?
Oh, yes, sure. Because first of all, for some reason, Germany feel guilty about Jews being killed during the Second World War, and Russians, rather than Belarusians and Ukrainians, who actually the bigger number than Russians were killed by the Nazi during the Second World War, and the whole war was on our territory, not on Russian territory. So that's why this the whole idea that there is a special guilt towards Russia and building all those bridges is something of special interest. And actually, I would quote the leader of the Social Democrats. Recently, he announced that his party is changing or revising Ostpolitik towards Russia and other countries. And he admitted the wrongdoing of such a thing like overestimating Russian importance and underestimating the concerns of the Central and Eastern European countries. So I believe this is the right way how to reassess the mistakes of the consequent governments in Germany and reading of Russia in general, and certainly this ignorance of Germans towards the Central and Eastern Europeans in their, let's say, feeling and understanding of Russia much better than the so-called old Europeans. So I believe we can mend this. And possibly there are some mistakes from Ukrainian side. We haven't been trying to make Germans feel guilty for all those committed crimes during the Second World War, like Russia has been doing and underlying its importance in defeating Nazi. But we are doing it from an absolutely different point of view, because we've seen that Germany and Germans realized those crimes and they changed themselves to completely. And actually, it's a different case with Russia. What we are seeing now, this aggressive war against Ukraine, it's the roots of this is that communism was not condemned like Nazism in Nuremberg process. And today's Russian ideology is based on imperialism and communism band together, even though it's incomparable things from the sane mind. So we would like to see more changes in the thinking of Germans with regard to Russia and with regard to not just Ukraine, but the whole bunch of countries to the east of Germany.
All right, Alexander Kara, Ukrainian diplomat, foreign policy and security expert. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for the invitation.